You're listening to an Ono Media podcast.
Good morning, and thanks for joining me for Rise in Crime, your morning caffeine hit all about crime. I'm Mama Jules, and it's Monday, so we're due for another teacher on child crime. You guys, these are becoming so prevalent, and I was thinking while I was analyzing this story, are there just so many ways for students and teachers to communicate nowadays, like apps and social media and texting? Does it just make it so much more simple to groom and abuse young children? Or is it that ease mixed in with the degrading of the moral fabric of our culture is making it easier? And I don't know. And maybe part of it is that we don't have high enough expectations for those who work with the youth. Or maybe it's not even that. Do we have high expectations and people just fall incredibly and criminally short? Or maybe it's D, all of the above. And I'll warn you ahead of time with this story out of Las Vegas. It's a bit graphic. I'll do my best, if you have littles listening nearby, to just kind of keep it as scientific as possible. On Tuesday, 45-year-old Antoine Washington was arrested for a litany of charges. We've got kidnapping of a minor, 4 counts of using or permitting a minor over 14 years old to produce pornography. So, yeah, he allegedly filmed the encounters. Then we've got 3 counts of statutory sexual seduction by a person over 21 years old. And we also have contacting a minor for sex as a person of authority. Well, obviously that one's because Antoine is a school employee and a coach. On Valley High School's website, Antoine is listed as the head football coach and the campus security officer. Well, all of these details are from the arrest report. And I'm giving you that detail because I'm just not going to say it over and over again. I'm not going to say from the arrest report. Just understand, if I'm giving a detail about the alleged account, just assume it's from the arrest report that was released by Las Vegas PD. All right, so let's start. It seems Las Vegas police arrested Antoine after they found video evidence of him engaging in sex with a child younger than 16. They found the videos while they were conducting an investigation of another sexual predator who was 46 years old. All right, police are saying a girl under 16 came to them with claims that she had been having sex with the 46-year-old. And when they examined the teen's phone, they found the videos of Antoine and the girl. So here's what happened on the videos. Antoine and the girl are engaged in sexual activity, and the whole thing is being filmed by a bystander. So someone else is in the room. In one of the videos, Antoine allegedly urinates on the girl before penetrating her. In another video, the girl appears to be bound and unconscious while Antoine allegedly performs sexual acts with the girl. In that particular video, the girl is handcuffed and her eyes remain closed for the duration of the filming. Then in another of the 4 videos that were found on the phone, it was discovered that the video was filmed in Antoine's coach's office on the school campus. So I started this story by saying it's just too easy for students and authority figures to communicate with each other. Well, the answer seems to be yes, it is too easy, because in this criminal case, this was all happening because Antoine was allegedly contacting the girl during school hours, and sometimes they would sneak away and have sex in Antoine's car. Now, you might be asking how they can be certain it was Antoine in the video. Well, apparently Antoine has some pretty specific and unique identifying marks on his skin, and those marks on the man in the video were compared to Antoine's bare skin, and they matched. At least that's all according to police. When Antoine was being interviewed by police, he admitted to having a relationship with the girl, who, again, is under 16 years old. He told police he met her when he was trying to recruit the girl's boyfriend to play on the school's football team. Washington also admitted that he is married. And get this, he has 3 other girlfriends. He even admitted bringing the young student to one of his girlfriend's houses so that he could engage in activity with her there. Antoine allegedly told police that he has some sort of kink where he pretends that he's bringing the girls into his life and then acting as their, quote, daddy. Now, it seems Antoine tried to defend his actions, saying he thought the girl was older than 16. Police informed him he was wrong. Now, we don't know her exact age since it was redacted from the arrest report, but she must be 15 since she's enrolled at the high school, and the charges could have been different if she was 14. That's because of the way the law is written in Nevada. Now, when a forensic audit was performed on Antoine's phone, police discovered a photo of another teen student. In that photo, the girl is bent over and her underwear is showing. Antoine allegedly said he took the photo to show it to the girl so she could see that her choice of clothing was, quote, bad. But then he allegedly admitted he did not show the photo to the girl. Antoine also revealed to authorities that he initially began communicating with the teen girl via Snapchat. He claimed he never wanted sex out of the relationship. He instead was just trying to be a mentor to the girl. Well, following his arrest on Tuesday, Antoine was arraigned on Wednesday, and the prosecutor argued for a $500,000 bail, citing that the school had witnessed additional inappropriate behavior by Antoine, something like prolonged hugging of the students or too much touching of the students. His public defender argued in that hearing that the prosecutor intentionally brought up salacious details of the case, this in order to push for a higher bail amount. Basically, he's saying that the dirty details will force the bail higher, and his client will not be able to obtain the money, essentially jailing him until trial or a plea deal. He then went on to argue Antoine's lack of criminal history and his position in the community means he would be less of a flight risk. Therefore, he should not be held to a higher bail agreement. Now, Antoine is innocent until proven guilty, but I could argue against his public defender. Antoine has a specific charge related to his standing in the community, meaning his work as a security officer and his role as a head football coach were tools to allegedly groom or coerce the young teen to engage in the sexual activities. So, didn't he allegedly already abuse that community role? Now, the public defender also said that the push for higher bail was because cameras were present and people would be reporting on the crime more prevalently. The judge responded to the public defender by saying they would have to agree to disagree on all of the arguments and that he did factor in Antoine's role in the community. The judge then said he felt Antoine was a danger to the community and his bail was set at $100,000. His next court appearance is scheduled for December 16th. Now, it does seem that if Antoine can provide the bail, he will be placed on house arrest with restrictions on contact with any of his alleged victims or with any other minors. He also is not allowed on school property. One more not so awesome detail in this criminal case. The Daily Mail is stating that the 46-year-old man that the teen girl was allegedly being assaulted by, and that kicked off the initial investigation that revealed the 4 videos, well, the public defender is implying that that 46-year-old is the girl's boyfriend's dad. That's just one more adult with a level of power that took advantage of this girl, if the allegations are true. I'll keep you updated on this case. I'm sure more details will be forthcoming. All right, I promised you guys updates whenever they came in on that case out of Kentucky, and we now have one. Okay, remember, this is the one of Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins shooting District Court Judge Kevin Mullins. Okay, here's the quick reminder in this case. 43-year-old Mickey was in the middle of being deposed for a civil lawsuit involving one of Mickey's deputies. That deputy was allegedly, well, you guys, I don't even need to say allegedly because the criminal case and the civil case all are screwed up in the way that they happened. So I'm not going to use the word allegedly here. In that case, one of Mickey's deputies was raping and performing sodomy on a female inmate. This all happened back in 2022. Now, the deputy would commit the assault in the chambers of Judge Kevin Mullins, and in return, the woman's ankle monitor would be disabled. Eventually, the deputy went to prison for the crimes, but there was fallout, and the female inmate and another woman filed a civil lawsuit against the deputy in 2022, and all of this was a little screwed up. The civil suit was filed first, then Mickey fired the deputy, and the criminal investigation began. So basically, the civil suit forced the hand of the county to look into the sexual misconduct of the deputy. Now, Mickey was included in the civil lawsuit because The women allege that Mickey had not properly trained his officers. And just days before Mickey shot Judge Kevin Mullins, Mickey was being deposed for that lawsuit. Okay, clear back then. We were told by witnesses that Mickey and the judge went to lunch together. When they returned to the courthouse, Mickey and the judge spoke privately in the judge's chambers. Then Mickey took the judge's cell phone. He then became upset, pulled his service weapon, and shot Judge Mullins. All of this was caught on cameras that had been placed in the judge's chambers. Mickey exited the chambers and waited for police and was voluntarily arrested for the murder. What followed was so much rumor in this case. People were certain they knew exactly what had happened, and those rumors were fueled by small-town gossip where everyone knows everyone. Well, last week, News Nation exclusively obtained audio recordings that could potentially tie Judge Kevin Mullins to a sex for favor scandal. The recordings were part of the criminal investigation, remember, with the deputy and him raping the woman? Well, and they've not been verified until now. Sabrina Atkins, she's one of the women who filed the civil suit. She told News Nation that video exists of sexual favors happening in the judge's chambers. Here, I just want you to listen to the audio from Sabrina.
He does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, just him having sex with girls for to be able to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
You saw the video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean,
I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know. Because I don't know a lot of people from over there.
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was the judge's chambers? And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
Well, Sabrina's attorney told News Nation that the judge's chambers were like a brothel. The News Nation producer then said it has become clear that Mickey's life was falling apart piece by piece, that he was in deep with this information that was coming out in the civil and criminal cases. Last week, Mickey pleaded not guilty to the murder charge. Sheriff Mickey has denied, via the deposition, that he knew these favors were going on. And this civil lawsuit had Mickey at the top of the pile. He was the highest-ranking employee or official that was named in that lawsuit. All right, are there still questions? Absolutely. Many, many, many locals believe Mickey's daughter was involved in this quote-unquote brothel. And maybe she was. We just haven't received confirmation of that yet. It's important to remember that Judge Mullins had been serving in that position for 15 years. Do what you will with that piece of information because it has my mind running a little bit wild at what could have allegedly been happening over that time period. And as promised, I will bring you updates as soon as they surface. And now to this case out of Clackamas County, Oregon, that was submitted by a Rise in Crime listener. This involves the family of 71-year-old Michael Foreigner and his wife, 61-year-old Susan Lane Foreigner. The two had been married for 12 years and were the owners of two large mixed breed dogs. And those puppers are so cute. Go to social media, you can see them there. One of those dogs has the coloring of kind of like a German Shepherd, and the other looks a little bit like a large coyote. They're very cute. Well, Michael and Susan, who may be referred to as Phoenix, if you see her name printed in other news articles, that seems to be the nickname she went by. I'm going to call her Susan because that's her given name. So Michael and Susan have a pretty troubled marriage. Their neighbor, Betty Swan DeLong, told KGW8 that a lot of the neighbors in that area talked about the potential of domestic violence between the older couple. And clearly, if they interviewed the neighbors, you already know things went south between the two. So let's just start on the timeline. It's all happening on Halloween. That's October 31st of this year. On that day, Susan filed for divorce from Michael, citing irreconcilable differences. When Susan didn't show up at her place of employment, which was the Hoodland Bazaar in Welch's, that was supposed to be on November 22nd, well, her coworkers were immediately concerned. See, Susan's friends told KGW8 that Susan was terrified of serving the divorce papers to Michael. Her friend Carrie told the outlet that Susan had expressed to her that Michael was going to do something to her and her dogs. And here it is, less than a month after serving the divorce papers, and she's a no-show for work. The coworkers called the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, just asking for a welfare check. And that day, the police visited Susan's home, but she wasn't there. News spread throughout the community that friends were looking for Susan, and the very next day, after that welfare check, Susan's white 1992 Ford F-250 was spotted by a community member parked along the Salmon River Road right near a trailhead. Initially, investigators just assumed that Susan had taken her two dogs hiking in the Mount Hood National Forest, and maybe she had just gotten lost or had an accident, and that is why she was a no-show for work and she couldn't currently be located. Well, the discovery of the pickup sparked a multi-agency search that included the Clackamas County Search and Rescue, also the Portland Mountain Rescue, then the Mountain Wave Emergency Communications, and also the Pacific Northwest Search and Rescue joined in. Her friends and family also completed the search effort, and members of the community were volunteering as well. This was a huge volunteer effort looking for Susan. Now that search extended over days. And on day 4, that's November 27th, Susan's son Dakota told KATU that the family felt it was better to assume and not react than it would be to assume and react. He said they were doing their best to remain calm and stoic and just hope for the best. Now, I'd have to imagine the family was devastated when the multi-agency search was called off later that day. 2 days later, so now we're at November 29th, a man and some friends were attempting to hike in the Welches when they came upon some tarps that were blocking their path. One man stepped in front of his group and grabbed the corner of the tarp to move it off the path, and that's when he saw a pair of hiking boots. The man quickly called 911, and later that day, the remains were identified as that of Susan Forner. Now, the remains were discovered 8:30 a.m., and by the end of the day, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office had arrested Michael and charged him with second-degree murder. News spread quickly of the arrest, but the community was still bothered. Susan's dogs were not with her body, and family and friends wanted to find the beloved animals. Unfortunately, the next day, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office discovered 2 deceased dogs, and it didn't take long to determine they were Elrond and El Ross. Now, I hope I'm saying those names right. Those names were printed on a wanted poster, so I want to just respect those puppers and get those names correct. Well, the available court documents, they haven't lined out what police think exactly happened between Susan and Michael, but they do reference that the crime of murder was committed in a domestic violence act. 6 days ago, Michael pleaded not guilty. He is being held without bail in the Clackamas County Jail. And I'm sure there's going to be more to this story. I'll be watching it for you. Well, let's end with this quirky little story, which has a Long Island retired woman being sent traffic ticket after traffic ticket from all over the country. So is she a serial traffic lawbreaker? I'm not sure how she could be since she stopped driving 4 years ago. So what's up? Well, 76-year-old Beta Corey surrendered her personalized license plates. That was clear back in 2020. She self-imposed a driving ban due to her age, and she sold her car. But those pesky personalized license plates is what is causing her all the extra traffic tickets in her curbside mailbox. Her old custom plates were a homage to Star Trek, and they had the same exact number as the Starship Enterprise. Apparently, that's NCC 1701. Well, pretty fun for her to have the New York plates with that number, except after she surrendered the plates, Amazon began selling novelty plates that looked exactly like her personalized plate. And some of those pesky Star Trek fans are also lawbreakers. they have replaced their own plates with the novelty plates, and then they go and break the law. Beta says the tickets are for running red lights or speeding or parking infractions, and sometimes it's school zone infractions. She also gets hit with easy pass toll fees. She even was tracked down by a police chief in Ohio looking for the owner of the plates because they were linked to a robbery in his jurisdiction. So, if she surrendered those plates 4 years ago, how are these various law enforcement agencies getting Beta's info? Well, it comes down to this. The agencies aren't updating their systems with the latest information, and that's why they are still able to tie Beta to those plates. Now, for her part, Beta jokingly says she has run out of stamps trying to answer all of the summons. But it's not all laughs for Beta. She said she has shed tears over the amount of money that officials across the United States think that she owes. And it scares this 76-year-old woman because she's on a fixed income and she can't pay any additional fees. Oh, dear sweet Beta. I wish you lots of Star Trek viewing and no more tickets in the future. All right, I'd love to hear what you think about these episodes because that's your Monday episode of Rise in Crime. Thanks so much for joining me here on Rise in Crime. I do say all the time I have the best listeners out there. We were out and about in Peyton Moreland's hometown today, and we were stopped by listeners, and they talked about how much they love the podcast. So that just makes us feel so good when that happens. We also love your 5-star reviews and your positive comments, and please let me know on either the social media platforms or on the YouTube broadcast what you think of these crime cases. And you can give us a like and a follow on all those social media and YouTube accounts here at Oh No Media. Quick reminder, that's Rise in Crime, Into the Dark, and Murder with My Husband. You can join me again on Thursday for more morning crime news. I'm Mama Jules, and keep safe out there.